It is late afternoon, September 29th, 1957. The Chelyabinsk district in the southern Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union is about to become the site of an unprecedented disaster. Residents glance up at the sky and witness a mesmerizing display of colors: deep blue, violet, and eerie shades of green. The local press will later claim it's a rare occurrence of the northern lights appearing much farther south than usual. But these lights are not a natural wonder. They are a harbinger of death. This is Mayak, also known as Karsley, a top-secret nuclear facility in the town of Kyshtym. This plant is about to become the epicenter of the first large-scale nuclear disaster in human history, one so catastrophic that only Chernobyl and Fukushima would surpass it in severity. Mayak was constructed between 1945 and 1948 as part of the Soviet Union's ambitious push to develop nuclear weapons. Stalin's regime, determined to rival the United States, rushed nuclear development at any cost. The price? Human lives. Up to 70,000 forced labourers, including political prisoners, criminals, and prisoners of war, were assigned to work under inhumane conditions. In 1948, once the site was operational, the local population, both civilians and prisoners, was forcibly relocated to maintain secrecy. Replacing them were trusted Soviet loyalists and their families, many of whom would never leave again. The area was so secretive that it did not appear on Soviet maps. Mayak was more than just a waste disposal site. It housed its own nuclear reactors, playing a crucial role in producing radioactive materials for the Soviet nuclear arsenal. Safety was an afterthought. Radioactive waste was dumped into the local rivers and lakes, contaminating water supplies and villages downstream. By the early 1950s, reports of radiation sickness were already surfacing, but the Soviet authorities kept it quiet. The demand for nuclear weapons was relentless. With deadlines looming, safety measures were disregarded. Between 1948 and 1958, more than 17,000 workers suffered radiation overdoses. But the worst was yet to come. Deep within the Mayak facility, a cooling system in one of the high-level radioactive waste tanks failed. The liquid waste inside contained nitrate and acetate salts, highly unstable when dry. As temperatures rose, disaster became inevitable. At precisely 4:20 p.m., a powerful explosion rocked the facility. The blast had the force of about 70 to 100 tons of TNT. The explosion ejected a deadly radioactive cloud, contaminating an area 300 kilometers long and 66 kilometers wide. This region would later be known as the Eastern Urals radioactive trace. TAET. The Soviet government acted swiftly, but not to save lives. Instead, they moved to cover up the disaster. Within 10 days, over 1,000 people were relocated, and within 2 years, nearly 10,000 more were forced to leave. Entire villages were bulldozed, burned, or abandoned, their former residents left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. Western intelligence agencies were aware of the disaster by 1959, but the information remained classified. Why? The US government feared that exposing Soviet negligence could lead to scrutiny of its own nuclear programs, particularly the Hanford site in Washington, which had its own safety concerns. The contamination left behind was staggering. The explosion released an estimated 740 petabecquerels of radioactivity, an amount 90 trillion times higher than what the human body can safely absorb. Radiation exposure among the local population was severe, with some villages experiencing doses 200 times higher than what led to evacuations in Chernobyl. Lake Karachay, used as a dumping ground for nuclear waste, became so radioactive that standing near it for just an hour could be fatal. In 1967, a drought dried parts of the lake, and winds carried radioactive dust across another 1,800 square kilometres. For decades, the effects of the Kyshtym disaster remained hidden. Soviet research into its consequences was classified. However, studies conducted in the 1990s confirmed a significantly higher incidence of leukemia, cancers, and genetic mutations among those exposed. The disaster was finally acknowledged by Soviet authorities in 1989, more than 30 years after it occurred. But even today, Mayak remains a site of concern. In 2017, European monitoring stations detected a mysterious cloud of ruthenium-106, a radioactive isotope linked back to the region, raising new questions about ongoing safety risks. The Kyshtym disaster was a chilling preview of what was to come at Chernobyl. It serves as a reminder of the dangers of secrecy and negligence in nuclear programs. As we push forward with nuclear energy, let's hope the lessons of Kyshtym are never forgotten. If you found this deep dive into the hidden nuclear disasters of history fascinating, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who might be interested, and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel. We've got more incredible, untold stories coming your way, so hit that notification bell to stay updated. Let's keep exploring history's darkest secrets. See you in the next one.